There aren't many women on construction sites. Julia Schäfer is a rare exception. She's a master bricklayer and a social media star. Over 1 million people follow her on Instagram alone.
It's exhausting, I'll admit, but it's a lot of fun.
But she's also experienced sexual harassment.
There was this one guy who kept grabbing my ass.
The clay builder Anna Maas says sexism remains the largest problem on construction sites.
The foremen and fellow apprentices, the male ones, will comment on your body or rate how f***able they think you are.
Frieda just started an apprenticeship as a carpenter. She's calling for more equality.
Mind if I take off my shirt too?
Go ahead.
If he can do it, why can't I?
Road construction is a really tough line of work. Very few women venture into it. Sally from the paving crew says it's her dream job.
Thanks, now I've got branches in my face. Are you out of your mind? When you drive down the road, the men can't stop staring.
They're all exceptions in their trades. What do they love about their jobs? What are the biggest challenges they face? And what do they think about the fact that there are still so few women working in construction today? I come from a family of tradespeople and once considered learning a trade myself, but the thought of a lifetime of hard labor put me off. Maybe I just didn't think I was capable of it as a woman. One opinion I keep hearing, especially from men, is...
In general, I'd say men should handle the rough work and women the finer details. I don't want to discriminate. I just think construction is still a man's job.
Of course, there are other men who see things differently, but the numbers don't lie. Of all industries in Germany, construction employs the fewest women. In the most physically demanding trades on construction sites, it was just 2.3% in 2025. That's really low. One woman who made it is Julia Schäfer from southwestern Baden. She just might be Germany's best-known female bricklayer. With lots of online followers, she also earns money with social media. But her main passion is bricklaying.
Press it all the way down, keep it straight, and squeeze when you're ready. 1, 2.
Julia has been a master bricklayer for about 6 years. She runs her own company and is currently building her own production hall with a team of men. Today I'm helping build a reinforced concrete foundation, and later Julia will lay a brick wall on it.
This metal will all be covered in concrete. You won't see it once we're done.
Okay.
Once her building is complete, Julia will use it as a warehouse, workshop and office for her company, as well as a place to create social media content.
This is going to be the hub for everything that happens here. Either we'll specialize in restoration, buying old properties and fixing them up. That would be a new challenge for me. I'm not familiar with that kind of work yet. Is the beeping bothering you? Mike, you're bugging us. That's the best that can happen. It's so much fun. I can't imagine a day without cracking jokes or goofing around. That's just how it is.
Why do you think there are still so few women in construction?
I think a lot of them are put off by the rough tone, maybe by the construction site itself, but that's just part of the job. You have to be able to handle it. I'll admit that you can't be too sensitive? Well, I'm sensitive too. I'll cry, to be honest. That's just how I am. I cry, but you learn to get on with it.
Cool.
All right, let's get started then. What's there to do?
Mikey's already set the height, right, Mikey? Oh, right, he wasn't allowed to. Wherever you see these bars,
I should
cover them up. Good. We can mark that and move on.
Red, so down.
Hang on. Now.
Now?
Yeah.
When Julia started her apprenticeship, she was in her early 20s. She soon learned how hard it was to be the only woman working at a construction site. One bad experience followed the next, and she was sexually harassed.
There was this one guy who kept grabbing my ass, and at some point I lost it and threw my trowel at him. Enough is enough. But right then, the training supervisor walked in, and who got in trouble? I did. The whole week had just been too much to take. He wouldn't stop. So I told my dad, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, look, sweetheart, I'd love to take this off your hands, but I can't. I love you more than anything, but I can't do that for you. Either you deal with it yourself, find your own path, and find the confidence to stand up for yourself, or you don't. But then this job isn't the right fit for you. So I thought about it, and yeah, he had a point.
Ja, hat eigentlich ja recht.
Unbelievable. So in that situation, when he grabbed you, were you able to... I mean, how did that turn out?
The training supervisor yelled at me in front of everyone. Everyone laughed, and then I went home. I just packed my things and left.
Shortly after, a fellow apprentice told the instructor what had actually happened.
Und dann hat der Ausbildungsleiter mich
And the training supervisor called everyone together and apologized to me in front of the whole team. He said, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. And if he ever touches that girl again, he'll have me to deal with. I'll give you all a piece of my mind. And from that moment on, they accepted me. And I was, this sounds so dumb, but I was accepted as Julian, as one of the guys.
Not as Julia, but as...
Julian. It's so dumb, I know.
Julia stuck it out, but not every young woman is likely to be that self-assured. Others might have given up.
ziehen, aber ich sag immer ziehen.
I say Ziege, goat, instead of ziehen, pull. The guys tease me, where's the goat? And I say, leave me alone, that's just my dialect.
Das ist mein Dialekt. Ich würde mich mehr freuen, wenn mehr Mädels das machen würden.
I'd be really happy if more women did this job because it's a great job, especially the camaraderie you feel in the team. Talking to other people in this line of work, you have to be able to rely on your co-workers.
Du musst dich auf deine Kollegen verlassen.
But the job has negative sides too.
Sondern auch negative Seiten. Das regt mich dann immer wieder auf.
When I hear my boss or my co-workers say something that's out of line, or when I can't wear certain tops because someone sitting across from me is bound to say something like, wow, what a nice view, I mean, that's just not cool.
Ich sitze und sage, oh, ich habe aber schöne Aussichten da. Das ist halt einfach nicht cool, ne?
But sexism doesn't always mean sexual harassment. It starts much earlier, as soon as women aren't considered capable of doing the job, simply because they're women.
Ganz am Anfang, wo ich
Right at the very beginning, when I was at a construction site and a concrete truck driver said, I'm not going to give you any concrete, you're a girl. You have no business being here. You don't know what you're doing. Even if I didn't, that still doesn't give him the right to say that. And I think that kind of thing just ruins it for girls.
So why do some women still choose a career in construction? I ask Frieda from Dresden, who just started an apprenticeship as a carpenter. What do you need?
A chisel would be good.
What do you need it for?
For the spots you can't reach with a saw. You can get to them with a chisel and a mallet.
Kommst du ran?
She dropped out of her degree program in communication psychology and took up this apprenticeship instead. She was inspired to after having built her own bed and kitchen.
Hier. Ich habe angefangen, dieses Bett zu bauen.
I started building my bed, and I really got into it. But I kept telling myself I'd finish my degree first, and then maybe do it. And then I thought, I want a pair of carpenter's pants. They're so stylish and durable.
Halten lange.
So my girlfriend gifted me a pair for Christmas. I put them on, stood in front of the mirror, and I thought, I don't want to just wear them, I want to be that person. So I asked her, what if I dropped out of college and did an apprenticeship instead? And she said, go for it.
You know what I thought you meant? This is what I thought a chisel was.
A crowbar.
A crowbar.
Some say clawbar. Learned that today. I think anyone can learn a trade, for sure.
Well, I'd say I'm all thumbs.
But where'd you get that from?
Yeah, where did I get that from?
Were you constantly being told you're all thumbs? Or was it implied?
Or is it maybe because that's how I grew up? My brother's good with his hands and learned a trade. He's a boy, of course. So maybe we were just brought up that way.
I think that definitely plays a role. In my case, my mom always did everything, and there wasn't a man around to say, I'll do that, or don't touch that.
The next day, we see each other again at her workplace. Frieda's colleagues are certified craftsmen and her direct supervisors at the construction site.
Put these slats with the others on the left.
Today, we're rebuilding a ramshackle winter garden. Demolition work in 30-degree summer heat is harder than I thought. This is Frieda's second week on the job, and it's my second day on a construction site. This is actually kind of fun.
Because we can let out all that built-up tension with the hammer.
Exactly. Of course, there's a lot that can build up when you're constantly given the impression that women are the weaker sex.
That was certainly the kind of feedback I got when I told people I was starting an apprenticeship as a carpenter. They'd say, that's pretty tough, isn't it? You've got to be pretty strong for that. And I thought, I'm already pretty muscular, and of course that'll improve with time. But a friend of mine, he's almost my height, maybe 5 centimeters taller, and was as skinny as a reed at the start of his apprenticeship. And nobody said that to him. They just patted him on the back and said, you go for it, kid. But he had it just as hard when he started off.
Now we have a better view. You can see this wasn't positioned properly. That's why it wasn't working. So rub the chain around the back first. Good.
It's important that you cut the wood with the front tip of the saw. That's to ensure that the saw doesn't kick back in the worst case.
Kicking back sounds harmless, but I'll bet if it kicks back, it'll take off my face.
Well, you definitely have to be careful. I keep hearing stories about people with only 7 fingers left. I'd kind of like to keep all my fingers.
It's now a sweltering 34 degrees Celsius outside. The guys have already taken off their shirts. It's not really fair that men can just do that and it looks cool.
The way I see it, if he can do it, I want to be able to do it too. I get it, but I'm sweating just as much as they are.
But can we really do that? Just take our tops off?
Do you guys mind if I take off my shirt too?
Go ahead.
It seems normal for men to take off their shirts when it's hot, but somehow it's still different for women.
I guess it's just something we're brought up with, and I'm sure there are still those who have something to say about it, but in principle, it shouldn't be any different.
It just needs to become a normal thing.
And it's probably because we live in a male-dominated world. Men get more flustered when they see women running around naked and they've never seen it before. But I'm sure you get used to it pretty quickly.
Well, I for one wouldn't dare.
But you're wearing a bra underneath, right?
Yeah, sure,
But it's still weird?
I don't know, it's hard to get over myself. It's probably ingrained in me so deeply.
I guess if you were raised from the start to believe it didn't matter if it's a woman or a man standing there shirtless, then it doesn't matter.
I definitely respect Frieda for doing it.
These are people I feel comfortable around, where I can walk around topless without being sexualized.
I'll meet up with Frieda again in 6 months and wonder whether she'll encounter sexism further down the road. I hope not. For decades, construction was a male-dominated field, and not just in people's minds. On West German construction sites, there were many jobs women weren't even allowed to do before 1994. Now I'm meeting a woman who works in another male-dominated field, road construction. Sally operates the asphalt roller for a paving crew in the eastern state of Thuringia. Her job is to compact freshly laid asphalt.
There's usually a shovel around for this, but I don't have one right now.
The paving crew works all day long. First, they receive a delivery of 160-degree hot asphalt, which they pour into a paver and spread across the road. Then Sally compacts it. It must be pretty cool to drive a roller like this.
Yeah, I like it, especially when you're driving down a road, you know, when you're working near apartments and houses and the men can't stop staring. A lot of them say they've never seen anything like it. They walk right past me and tell me it's actually a little creepy sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Want to try? I wasn't that fast just now. I can set it faster if you want.
Oh no, let's start slow for now. There's something special about driving big construction machines like this, isn't there? It's kind of cool. When you're up here, like...
It's just beeping because your butt left the seat.
Oh, okay.
Can you take over for me?
I have to say, this feels pretty awesome. Why do you think so few women want to do this job, even today?
I think they don't dare to try. I think a lot of them just wonder, can I keep up with the men? Can I actually do the work? Can I handle it physically?
Operating a road roller is probably not the most physically demanding part of road construction. I mean, sure, I'm wary of handling such a big machine. But what about you? You've always wanted to do this, right?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a road builder.
Wow. And what gave you the idea?
My brothers do it, they got me hooked.
Really? You have two older brothers?
Yeah, they're pavers too. It's always been our dream to work in the same crew.
We have to hurry. Rain is forecast for tomorrow, and if the ground is wet, the paving crew won't be able to lay the asphalt. It's going to be a long day.
We won't be done for the day until this stretch is finished.
I was just going to ask, so that means you don't really know when you'll finish work?
You can't really say, no. I mean, in the paving crew, you can never really say for sure.
So how does she manage things with her 4-year-old son? Sally is a single mum.
I've got my mom at home, and luckily she helps me out. Otherwise, none of this would be possible. She takes him to kindergarten in the morning and picks him up in the afternoon. And when I get home from work, I take care of him, of course.
I'll see Sally and her son again when I visit their home and learn more about why she was turned down from her dream job at first, simply for being a woman. 450 kilometers away in the Lüneburg Heath, I meet Anna Maas. She's a clay builder, and sadly, she's had some pretty bad experiences on male-dominated construction sites.
So that's what we want to put on the wall today.
That's why she's now self-employed.
And now here's the most important rule. This funnel, this container right here, is never allowed to run completely dry.
Okay.
It'll start to smoke and stink if it does.
Anna has been hired to cover the interior walls of this old farmhouse with clay. First, the clay is spread onto the straw mats on the wall with a plastering machine and then smoothed out.
We still need to check the reeds, so we have to go over everything and check the quality. That would be the first thing to do.
She first experienced just how tough things can get on a construction site when she was 18, during her apprenticeship. What was it like for you to hold your own, especially among so many men?
I think it really sucked, and I'm not actually sure how I handled it so well. Maybe because I smoked a lot of weed. I mean, I think that would be the most logical explanation.
You couldn't have coped without? How did the men treat you?
Well, the stories I'm about to tell you aren't exactly pleasant. Like, the men, even the other male apprentices, would comment on and rate your body at work. talking about how f***able they think you are. Those were just normal, everyday things I experienced as an 18-year-old girl. And then being called flat-chested or flat as a pancake or whatever, that's definitely a thing. I can certainly understand why so many women end up quitting their training and struggle to brush it aside, psychologically speaking.
So how did you defend yourself?
As a woman, you just laugh because that's what you're taught to do. If you don't laugh, people start asking why you didn't think it was funny. Ask if you're a prude or something. And maybe my way of countering their humor helped me a bit. At some point, I started making a lot of jokes about men and stuff like that. One thing's for sure, it's made me act a lot tougher, like a macho. Even today, I can't really turn that off. I've become such a macho woman. Yeah, macho behavior means being loud and telling someone to get lost when they're droning on, trying to tell you how to do your job, or how your machines work, or how to back up your trailer. You can give him an aggressive response and he'll go away. Sometimes I drive home afterwards and cry because there's nothing more I can do. I want to give Elisa a little rundown on the machine so you can get started. You can go ahead and switch her on, the mixer. Of course, it's a she.
These days, Anna works with women whenever possible. Today, her colleague Franziska has joined us.
What's that beautiful woman doing here on the construction site?
Such a pretty girl. Yeah, right. And here we are pushing 40.
What's a pretty young lady doing here? We're laughing, but there's always a tear in your eye too. Like, he didn't really just say that, did he?
Once a guy came up to me and tried to strike up a conversation, and then he said something like, I do think it's strange to see women on construction sites because you're always doing your nails and your hands get so dirty from the clay. And I looked down at myself and I said, yeah, I do my nails sometimes, not all of them, but I like it. I enjoy it, and I enjoy looking after myself. You get your hair done.
You shower? And you've wiped your butt and washed your hands?
They'll ask, what are you doing here? And sometimes I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Maybe it's just a sign of extreme insecurity on the part of older men.
Insecurity, or is there something more? In any case, Anna has taken matters into her own hands. She doesn't want sexism to ruin the job she loves.
Our dream, Franziska's and mine, is to one day carry out an entire construction project with only female-owned companies. That doesn't mean men can't work on the project, but it's very important that they can't butt in and need to accept doing things differently than they might have.
Anna has other things on her mind as well. She's worried about her daughter's professional futures since they're already hearing sexist remarks at school, but more on that later. Sally, the road builder, lives just north of Bavaria. Oh, that's your roller?
Can it even get here from over there?
She's raising her 4-year-old son on her own. To him, Mum is the ultimate construction expert.
He'd love to work with me if he could.
Does he already have his own roller?
Yeah, a small one. It's down there.
He's growing up with it being normal for women to work in construction, isn't he?
He says he wants to ride big machines. He'd love to come to work with me every day.
Is he part of a new generation growing up with a different view of women? And will Sally ever tell him how hard she had to fight to get her job? Look at this. Fundamentals of asphalt compaction.
Yeah, my co-worker gave me all that.
You studied something else before this, right?
Restaurant and catering service. I did that as a stopgap because no construction company would hire me back then. They said, sweetheart, you'll need an extra bathroom on the job site and a changing room and blah, blah.
But it was always clear to you that you actually wanted to work in road construction, right?
Exactly. I think they just assume a woman can't handle the job, like she's not physically up to the task.
But it is a tough job, isn't it? The tone is definitely different, rougher.
You certainly need a sense of humor, otherwise you won't get very far. I was actually scared too, to be honest. Sure, I have to take a few jabs now and then, but I give them right back.
Aber ich teile die dann halt auch wieder aus. Was bringen wir denn da?
What's this little twig for? You know how big it is. Are you out of your mind?
Danke, ich hab die Äste in der Fresse.
Thanks, now I've got branches in my face.
Schön.
Great. And who's going to clean my roller now? I'm going to light a fire under your ass.
For the guys on the paving crew, having a woman on the team has been a completely new experience. Has it changed anything?
Yeah, she's a breath of fresh air, I'd say. Overall, it's been good. I think it's great that women do this kind of work and they're interested in it, like Sally. More of them could do it. You just have to go for it.
Was Sally the first woman you've seen doing this?
The very first.
And was that strange?
In the beginning, sure. The thing is, seeing a woman on a construction site kind of makes you concerned. And she doesn't get any special treatment. All the better that she loves doing it. She's not getting preferential treatment or anything.
Sally's supervisor was one of the people who decided against her starting an apprenticeship with them. You turned her down, didn't you?
We don't train women. It came as a surprise back then. I've been in construction for 45 years now, and we've never had a girl as an apprentice.
So if you're unfamiliar with it...
She was young, just 16. It makes you wonder, does she really know what she wants? What if she starts an apprenticeship, trains for 3 years, and in the end realizes it's not for her after all?
Sally completed her training as a road builder at another company. 7 years later, with her diploma in hand, she applied again. So how's it going now? What would you say after she's been here for a while? What's it like having a woman on the team?
I must say we're very pleasantly surprised that it's worked out so well. It brings a sense of calm to the team. A little bit, I think. We're glad we made that decision.
In road construction, you can earn around €3,600 gross per month working a 40-hour week. Can other women also imagine working in a profession like this? I accompany Sally to soccer practice. Her sister Jenny also plays on the women's team. What do you think about Sally working in an industry where there are hardly any women?
I think it's great, but I imagine it must be super exhausting to be shoveling all day or operating a roller. I don't think the physical labor would be my thing at all. I sit in the office all day and spend the whole time typing.
Sitting in an office like Jenny wouldn't work for me at all. Just sitting there at the computer, I think I'd get sick after a while. Just sitting in front of a screen, I couldn't do that.
You're outside all day. You're out in the rain, you're out in the cold. Even when it's really hot, you're outside. I can't imagine that at all, but I really admire that she manages to juggle it all. She's a strong woman who can pull it off.
And what would it be like for you to work only with men?
I could see that, sure, because I think men are a little easier to deal with than women.
It's sometimes harder to work with women. They can get a little catty sometimes.
Anna from Lüneburg sees things differently. She prefers working with women.
You're home, great. Your pizza is ready.
Anna has 2 daughters and is also a single mother. Was it difficult for you to balance raising children and your career?
Yes, well, it was quite sobering when the kids were little. After Nala was born, I felt great, physically. But childcare isn't available until they turn 1. So until then, I relied on unemployment benefits.
How did you go about solving that problem?
I take them with me to work sometimes and tell my clients. They just have to come along every now and then. Otherwise, the clients would have to wait even longer. Especially when the kids were sick and it wasn't too cold. I'd lay them down on a sofa in the next room and they'd sleep there. But it's incredibly exhausting when you're plastering walls while carrying a child in a baby sling.
Anna and the kids have a great relationship with their dad. He lives nearby. Fun fact, he works in a female-dominated profession as a preschool teacher.
We're kind of topsy-turvy in that way, and it always gets a lot of laughs. The fact that at the daycare center, he experiences the same surprise I do as a woman on a construction site. We both get special recognition just for being there.
In the evening, Anna has to make a quick trip to her warehouse. We have to load a trailer full of clay for her next project. Her daughter Nala is helping out. She's 14 years old and wants to train as a clay builder after she graduates from high school. She's the only girl in her class who wants to learn a trade. Why do you think so few girls want to learn a trade or work on construction?
I think it's because it's always been that way. Men are seen as the stronger ones, and girls have always been told to clean the house, tidy up, stay at home, cook meals. So sometimes I hear the boys in class say things like, yeah, typically women should stick to the housework, or something like that. And I'll tell them, if you're looking for trouble, keep talking. But I don't think it's okay for them to say things like that, just because that's what they've observed growing up.
Mein jüngeres Kind, das nicht hier ist.
My younger daughter, she's not here right now. Last week, she told me that her teacher had played one of those icebreaker games with them, where the kids are supposed to stand up if they feel the question applies to them. And she asked, whose dad works in a trade? And then, of course, Naomi stood up too, even though her mum works in a trade. And yeah, that's how the teacher slipped up, asking about kids' fathers when the topic was manual labor. And that really stands out to my kids because they're not used to it. Dad's a preschool teacher and mum works on a construction site. It's an upside-down world.
And things like that reinforce gender roles in people's minds.
Exactly. And it's great that my kids speak up. But then they hear the same response I've been hearing for years. You're being too sensitive. We meant everyone. Nala, we can stop any time if you need a break.
Anna hopes her daughter won't have to go through the same things she did back then.
People always expected me to do better. From the start, I was expected to be top of my class.
Because you're a woman.
Exactly. And there's almost no leeway for mistakes. If I, as a woman, make a mistake at work, people harp on about it for weeks and months, even though my male colleagues have made that same mistake plenty of times.
She worries her daughter might lose her enthusiasm for the profession if she completes an apprenticeship with another company.
I don't think many people take that into account. Youth labour protection, or being more considerate when dealing with young people. Especially working in construction, even if she weren't with my company, it could get pretty tough.
That's why Anna hopes her daughter will do her apprenticeship with her and eventually take over the company. I reconnect with Frieda, the carpenter in training in Dresden, half a year after she started her apprenticeship. She and her colleague Moritz are building a new stair railing today.
That screw is completely rusted. The hole's empty.
Back then, you mentioned you first had to physically adapt to the labor. Have you noticed your body changing?
I wouldn't have thought it, but I built up a lot of muscle quickly.
Really? Show me, can I feel them? That's amazing!
Even on my forearms. Here, look at this.
That's incredible. How have things been going for you over the last 6 months?
I'd say I've settled in well, but it's like a different world. It really lets you step out of your own bubble, but you realize things haven't changed much. Women are still in the absolute minority.
At trade school, Frieda says she's encountering the same double standards that Anna told me about. Zero tolerance when a woman makes a mistake.
The fact that women have to earn that respect first, that really gets on my nerves.
You're still an apprentice. A lot of people feel they have to earn that respect. But I can imagine it's harder for a woman.
When you're a woman and you're told that you likely won't stay in the trade anyway, and that it would be a waste of money, it makes me think, perhaps, but plenty of male apprentices don't stick with it either. Whether someone stays in the trade or not has nothing to do with their gender. These days it's common to learn a trade first and then go back to school just to have a good foundation. But that has nothing to do with being a man or a woman.
In her day-to-day work, she too has to deal with macho remarks from men.
At my workplace, I have to say the tone is very friendly, very considerate and respectful. I'm grateful for that and really happy about it. In a different context, there was an incident where I was uncomfortable with something being said. I thought it was disrespectful toward women. So I spoke up. I tried to stay objective and tried to put a stop to it.
What happened? What did they say?
They made a rude play on words using the word whore. And it wasn't just that one time, it was something that came up over and over again. I tried to point that out. At first, it got confrontational. It took a while to sort things out, but we did resolve it in the end. I actually get along with that person really well now.
How do you see it? I mean, if someone were to say that same pun in front of you, would you, as a man, find that funny, or would you think it was dumb?
I'd probably laugh, but there are limits. I mean, you can make jokes. Most of the time, they're at someone else's expense. But if someone comes up to you and says, that's not okay, then you should probably consider that.
What's it like when you work with Moritz?
It's laid back. I mean, sure, we're kind of playful, and sometimes a dumb comment just slips out.
And do you fire back?
Yeah. Oh, honey, not like that.
You're not usually that gentle. Sorry.
Don't be so dainty.
Yeah, but you two know each other.
Sure, things are different then.
Yeah, sometimes I'll say to him, hey there, cutie.
But that happens among the guys too. I mean, it's never just because there are women around. It happens between other guys too, like Zeppa and Phil, for example, the roofer and the other apprentice. They're so cute together. They're like an old married couple. And they go on and on. Come on, sweetie. Give me a hand, sweetie. It's just normal work banter.
But like you said, when you know each other, it's actually funny because you can take it in stride, but if a stranger says it...
Right, and having this dynamic with each other is entirely different from what I'd hear about the way things were run back in the day. There was a clear hierarchy, one man in charge with a master supervising, and apprentices just had to follow orders. If they got scolded, they had to suck it up. And if they cried about it, others would laugh at them even more. Different times, different customs. There are still companies that run things like that. It's hard to escape that as an apprentice, but my goal is to make sure that doesn't happen in my company, and I think we're on the right track.
Half a year later, things have also been going well for Julia, the master bricklayer. She and her team are putting up the walls of their warehouse.
Things have changed quite a bit since you last saw it. We've now poured concrete over the upstand you helped me with, and we've laid our bricks on top of that. We're completely finished on that side, and we'll wrap that up today, and then we'll move over here.
Mikey is
bringing the work platform over.
Und
We'll set it up over there, and then grab some bricks, mix up some mortar, and we'll be ready to go. Turn.
Mind the wall.
Turn it all the way around.
Yes, careful, I'll do it.
Get some support there.
Let it straighten out.
Yes, the job can be physically demanding, and yes, it's been proven that, on average, men have slightly more muscle mass than women. But Julia says the tough manual labor is often used as a knockout argument to discourage women from the trade.
der Klassikerspruch.
The classic line is, back in the day there were 50-kilo bags. A woman could never have carried those. You should be glad that things are the way they are now. And honestly, if I wanted to, I could carry one of those 50-kilo sacks too, just to prove that I can. But it's sad that we have to prove ourselves at all.
It's kind of like making batter. Julia hasn't only dealt with sexism on construction sites.
Stop.
She also encounters misogynistic narratives online. But if we say that women are worse at manual labor, then everyone will start crying again.
Because of our privilege.
I knew 2 women who only passed the exam because of their privilege, but sure, be honest.
And that's the kind of stuff I hear sometimes. You only manage to do all of that because of your privilege. I try to laugh it off, but
deep down, it still affects you.
Of course. And I get why a lot of women don't want to put themselves through that, or don't dare to. It makes me sad for young girls. Imagine a young girl out there who doesn't know much about the world yet, and she hears a stupid comment like that. She'll lose all interest. And there's no sugarcoating that. Those people are ruining it all over again, making women believe they're not capable of it. It's a privilege to keep pushing the idea that we women can and are allowed to do anything, independently. And it's sad that that's a privilege.
That it's not normal.
Exactly. The fact that people keep talking it down like that, it's not cool.
So what's the real reason men often reject women on construction sites?
Ich denke mir immer, das ist so eine Ego-Sache vielleicht auch.
I think it's an ego thing. Maybe they've never seen anything like it before. They see a woman doing this and they tend to fall back on classic stereotypes. Women should take care of the kids and do the housework. But the idea that a woman can be independent, that might be totally new to them. Or maybe they really do have ego issues and can't handle the fact that a woman is doing a job like this. So that's where the thin bed mortar goes in, and then we spread it out over all the brickwork.
The mortar is basically the glue that holds the bricks together.
You'll never get it perfectly straight. Hit it harder. The stone can't feel it.
Dem tut nichts weh.
This is what everyone thinks bricklayers do all day, just stacking brick upon brick, right?
Yeah, a lot of people think being a bricklayer is a job for dumb people. But there's so much more to it. It's unbelievable.
Unglaublich.
Julia thinks young women shouldn't let themselves get discouraged. And if problems do arise, it's best to talk things out.
If you're A, that confident, then you should talk it out with that person directly. Or B, just go to your boss. I mean, your boss is there to make sure everything runs smoothly and people get along with each other. It sounds silly, like tattling, but I think it's the only way. And if that doesn't work, then just look for another job. Somewhere out there is a workplace where you'll fit in and where they'll be grateful to have a woman on the team.
Julia and the other women in construction are role models in the industry. They won't put up with sexist remarks. Who knows? If I'd known them back then, I might have ended up in a trade too. In times of skilled labor shortages, can we really do without women? I think not.